Hello, YouTubers. This is Francis Maginus. It is Tuesday, November 19th, 2013. I'm making this video because I was given an assignment by my counselor, gender counselor, and I need to come up with an essay about who I am. It's a good question, isn't it? Who I am. So I need to go over a few things here. I'm trying to figure this out. Okay? I was born and named on my birth certificate as a boy. Yes, I have a penis. But all my life, until I was like 9 years old, I didn't have any testicles outside my body. And I never really felt there was a difference between boys and girls. I just felt like we were human beings. Okay? Pretty much the same, right? You know? I mean, I didn't follow my sister into the toilet to see how she peed, okay? And I remember when I was in the bathtub with my brother and sister when I was 5 years old because my mother was in a hurry and she wanted to give us all a bath at once. That was the first time I saw my sister without any clothes on. And I noticed that she didn't have a penis. And I didn't know that before that. And I thought, wow. Okay, that was a discovery. Okay? So all my life, all my childhood, I felt like there was no difference between boy and girl. So I don't know what you call that, okay? Then when I was 8 years old, I went to the doctor and they told me I needed a couple of operations. And so when I was 9 years old, they lowered my right testicle. I went through 2 weeks of hell in the hospital, lots of pain and suffering. That testicle was stitched to my right leg, right down where the groin is in the upper thigh there. And every time I moved, it hurt like hell. Every time I had to sit on a bedpan to take a crap, it hurt like hell. Every time I had to move and rotate in that bed for 2 weeks, it hurt like hell. Okay? I never experienced pain like that. Okay, and then 2 years later, the same thing happened, and all these operations were done in the summertime so I could recover before school started in September. So this was a big secret. So now all of a sudden I have to, I'm like a boy, right? And the doctors said, you can't play sports or compete in Little League ball until you're 13 years old. All the other boys started sports when they were like 11, Little League. So I felt left out, okay? And you know, and when the boys started throwing rocks at the girls, I couldn't understand why they were doing that. I never had a bully mentality. I never liked being pushed around, but I never pushed anybody around, okay? And I didn't know anything about sex until I was 13 years old, okay? My parents never taught me anything. We were strict Roman Catholics, and it was not discussed. You know, like a lot of boys, I found out about women from a Playboy magazine, you know, the pin up in the middle of the magazine. So anyways, and then when I was 13, I found out about masturbation. Well, I'm not saying I never masturbated. I tried, okay? You know, nothing happened, okay? I mean, yes, I had an erection. Yes, it felt good, but it took a long time, okay? So my testicles never really chooched right, okay? Chooch means work right, okay? And when I was a teenager in high school, I played football and varsity, and I had practically the smallest penis of any guy on the team, okay? And I was embarrassed. You go in that shower and there's like 30 or 40 guys in there and they're all taking a shower at the same time. Well, I was kind of embarrassed because everybody's got this big penis and I didn't have anything like that, okay? And so I used to wait. I used to take my time taking off my pads, and when everybody ran in the shower, took a shower, and then they came out and were getting dressed, then I'd go in. I was one of the last persons to go in that shower to take my shower because I was embarrassed because I wasn't like the other boys, okay? When I was in high school, I had no pressure to date a girl or take advantage of a girl. To me, that was not right. I was raised Roman Catholic, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? And, hey, I was an altar boy till I was 15. And I left the Catholic Church because of something that happened that was very embarrassing to me when I went to the confessional once. And I was publicly humiliated by the priest in the confessional who's not supposed to, disclose anybody's confession. Well, I'm not going to tell you what happened, but he burst out loud, and everybody in the chapel heard the sin I committed, and I was very embarrassed. You know what? That was the last time I went to confession. I remember that. I was like 15. So, anyways, and when I was a boy, I played board games, and I really didn't enjoy playing with trucks and things like that. And I had girls. I used to go out and play with the girls in the neighborhood, and I also played with boys. Okay, I'm not saying I was. So you know what? To me, gender was like non-existent. It existed, but I didn't discriminate. Like, oh, I'm a boy and you're a girl, and I never had that mentality. And so who am I? Okay. And in high school, I was attracted to some girls, but I just didn't feel like a compulsion to like date anybody in particular. In fact, I didn't date any girls. I took a couple girls out on some dates, and that was it. I wasn't really interested in, making out with a girl and stuff like that. I mean, I guess I don't know how you'd call it, but I guess I was asexual. I didn't have a sex drive, okay? Not like other boys. Other boys, they want to like go out with girls, feel them up, if they can, have sex with them. Well, I never felt like that, okay? And yeah, so I pretty much never really had sex with anybody. Yeah, I experimented a couple times between my being as graduating high school and when I was in the Navy, I paid for a prostitute, but that didn't work out too good, so I never did that again. In fact, I was very, very, very uncomfortable, and whether I was drunk or what, I don't know, it just didn't go good. And I says, this is ridiculous. There's no emotional contact here, It was like an act of an animal. And that was very distasteful to me. So I never did it again. And yeah, I dated some Christian girls, and I went to a Bible Institute when I got out of the Navy when I was 25. And, you know, uh, but I didn't get married till I was 30. And my wife, hey, I was engaged once, and we used to make out and, kiss, but, pretty much no foreplay. We kept our clothes on. And so really, I wasn't inexperienced at all in sex until I got married. And my wife, when I got married, my wife didn't want to have sex. So it's like, geez, getting the short end of the stick here again, So anyways, I did everything I was supposed to as a man. And, I tried, and, my equipment didn't work right. And, I'm very hesitant and maybe ashamed to say this, but, I couldn't have an orgasm, okay? There was something wrong with my testicles. I just could not, have an orgasm. So anyways, we had real difficulties. I got married because I wanted to have a family and have children, and but that didn't work out, did it? So after a year of trying, and she wasn't getting pregnant, I went to a urologist, and the urologist basically took a sperm sample and they looked at it, and all the sperm are dead, except maybe 2% are moving around, but they're not moving around fast enough to make it all the way up into the uterus and fertilize whatever's up there, okay? So the doctor told me that, like, you're going to have to go to a fertility clinic, okay? And they're going to have to, like, obtain, look at your sperm under a microscope and find a live one, put it in a test tube with one of her eggs, and we'll make a test tube baby. Then they'll implant the fertilized egg in her womb, and then we'll have children, right? Well, I'm a Christian. I'm like, damn, I mean, I don't want a test tube baby. Okay? I was insulted by that. And I was also very depressed. Okay? Nothing seems to be working right here. I got married, and I'm trying to have children here and a family, and nothing's working out for me here. So, and I had some dysphoria as far as being the male side of the equation in the marriage, And I didn't realize that would be evident until after I got married, okay? After all, I didn't really have sex with a woman until I got married at 30, okay? So, a lot of you male genders out there, you probably think I'm a weirdo, but hey, I had a physical birth defect, okay? I went through surgery to try to be normal, but I never was normal, okay? And I didn't know what was wrong with me, The urologist said, well, yeah, you had your operations when you were 9 and 11. Now they do it when the boy's like 3 or 4. And because a lot of men were sterile because they had the operations later in their boyhood. Well, you know what? I was very, very, very upset about that. I mean, I got married to have a family. But we prayed and everything, and by God's grace, yay, I had 2 sons, and they're in their late 20s now. And I'm very proud of them, and I raised them right. And they're 2 very mature young men married, and I have grandchildren. And I love the members of my family, okay? But, so what am I? I got to come up with an essay to my counsel and say, what am I, male or female? Well, you know what? I don't know. Okay? I really don't know. I've never been sexually, yes, I've been sexually stimulated, but I've never experienced happiness in the gender role that I am. Okay? And I'm 60 years old, going on 61. So I have to make a decision here. Okay? Do I continue in this dysfunctional condition that I'm not happy with? Or do I transition to be a female full time and maybe experience a sexual situation? My brain is different, okay? My brain is not male, okay? Think about it. I was a single parent. I took care of my children. I raised my children. I provided for them, okay? I cooked for them. I did the laundry. I did the dishes. shocked. I did everything for my two sons, okay? And I love them dearly. And I hate the thought that I would lose all that just to pursue my happiness. So I don't want to start crying here. I really don't. But I'm a human being. You know, I live my life and I did everything right. Okay? And I'm not happy with my life. Really not happy. Not fulfilled. So, you haters out there, you need to you need to open up your mind a little bit, okay? Everybody isn't born a genetic male or a genetic female. There's like a spectrum here, okay? All right? You know, tomboys are accepted, right? Girls that kind of act like guys, they walk around, they got flannel shirts on, jeans. The last thing they want to do is put a dress on and look like a female, okay? Oh, that's accepted. But then, you got a big, muscular guy like me, because I was trained to be a man, okay? And that's what I believe. It was training. You know, they said, well, you're a boy. You need to be like this. So I did it, okay? All right? I worked hard as a teenager. I worked hard all my life in male gender jobs and roles. But, you know, we're talking about sex here, folks, okay? And I never was satisfied by being the male in a sexual partnership, okay? And I had and I just still have difficulties, okay? All right? So I'm not going to go into any gory details, okay? And I don't think I have to. But this is the way it is. So what do? Join a monastery and like stay celibate for the rest of my life? You know? Hey, look, folks, I went through hell, okay? And I want some relief here, okay? And so all you haters out there that don't like transgender people, my situation is unique, but it does not discredit other what do they call T-girls, who psychologically think that they're a woman, but they have the body of a man, okay? There's cutting edge technology now. They've been studying about pregnancy and what happens in the womb during the 9 months that the fetus is in there. And sometimes things don't happen according to the way it's supposed to happen, and the brain develops differently than from the genitalia. So all you ignorant people out there, you need to do some research, okay? You know, the Bible is correct. I believe the Bible 100%, cover to cover. But you know what? It doesn't cover every single situation in life, okay? Especially according to the sexuality thing, okay? And if you're confused about it, the only verse I can say is look up Matthew 19:12. Jesus talks about eunuchs there. He talks about them being made in the womb, okay? Only God could do that because the mother has no control over that. Neither does the fetus. In fact, the fetus receives the action. So God makes this fetus a eunuch. Well, what does that mean? Okay, that means a eunuch is somebody that's castrated. So that means when that baby's born, it may have a penis, but it's like its testicles don't work. Okay, all right. Because in the rest of the verse, it uses the same word, and it says guys are made eunuchs by other men, okay? And that means castration. That's what the word means, okay? And then later in the verse, it says that some men castrate themselves for the kingdom of God's sake. Well, what's that all about, okay? Nobody's really talking about that at all, are they? That's kind of swept under the rug, okay? Because it doesn't fit religious society, you know? Oh, gee, well, oh, this verse, then Jesus says, whoever's able to receive it, receive it. Well, apparently, mainstream Christianity ain't able to receive it, are they? No, no. No, they got a paycheck. They got to get a paycheck. They're passing the offering plate. They got to get some money in there to support their building program or whatever else they're chooching with. So you know what? So they don't want to bring this up. This is a topic that is pushed aside and nobody wants to talk about it, okay? Well, Fran-Sez ain't going to be somebody else that pushes things aside. This is something that needs to be talked about. This affects millions of people in our world and culture. You just can't throw people in the volcano because they have a birth defect. And is this a defect? I don't know. God made us this way. Maybe he has a purpose. Did you ever think about that? Maybe God has a purpose for making effeminate males and masculine females, you know? You know, nobody chooses to be gay or lesbian. That's just the bent they have from day one. And I'm not, you know, and I'm not like a lot of other people that are sexually deviant according to the mainstream culture. You know, I have my own set of circumstances that is different than the mainstream. 99% of the people walking the street are heterosexual. So they're like looking down their noses at everybody else that ain't, okay? So, you know, can we have a little grace and love, you know? Jesus said, love your neighbor as yourself, you know? Do you think for a minute you could put yourself in somebody else's position, okay? You know, don't just write us off as a bunch of sodomites or freaks, because we're not. A lot of us have been living according to the Bible and have received Christ as our Savior like 20 and 30 years ago. So who are you to tell me that I'm going to go to hell? It ain't going to happen. I know more about the Bible than 99% of you people out there, okay? I've studied it. I've studied the original languages, the Greek and the Hebrew. I've spent thousands of hours studying the Bible on my own time. I didn't just go to church and listen to some pastor dishes out for 30 minutes every week, okay? So you know what? A lot of you people need to add some grace and love to your heart, okay? You know? And all this fear about people that are different, you know, you need to kind of like repent, okay? You need to start loving people and accepting them and you know, and maybe that'll influence them to change, you know, instead of you just pounding the pulpit and screaming at them and saying that they're a bunch of wicked sinners and they're going to be condemned to hell. You know, I thought salvation was great by grace, okay? It's not by works or keeping the law. So a lot of you denominations out there, you twist things around, don't you? You got your own special little Christian club that emphasizes certain parts of the Old Testament, like dietary laws. Oh, you can eat this, but you can't eat that. Well, the New Testament says you can eat anything you want with Thanksgiving, okay? So that's the real truth, isn't it? Okay. Well, we're bumping up about 25 minutes here, and Fran-Sez is not going to rant. I'm trying to keep my tone down and explain about my situation. So, hey, subscribe, comment. Who am I? I need some help here, folks, okay? I'm a human being, I know that. But maybe I gave you something to think about, huh? What if you were born and you didn't have any testicles outside your body, and you grew up and you felt like girls and boys were the same, there was no difference, and then you went and had these operations two summers, 2 years apart, and it hurt like hell, and then, and you had a different adolescence than everybody else that was in my neighborhood and went to my high school. Okay, yes, I was a rare case. And I'm not saying everybody's going to be this way. But, hey, I did what I felt I had to prove myself as an adolescent boy and a man. I'm a Navy veteran. I served on nuclear submarines, and I got 6 years active duty in the Navy. I'm a veteran. Okay, I got out of the Navy when I was 24 and a half, almost 25. So, hey, there's a lot of people like me that have served their country, done what was right, got married, and didn't really realize who they really were inside, because it's like it's a matter of discovery. And I discovered this late in life, So what am I supposed to do? You gonna bury me? Huh? Do I have a right to pursue my happiness just like everybody else? Okay? I think I do. I think I earn the right to be who I want to be. I served in the Navy for 6 years. You know what that's like? 95% of the American public doesn't even know what it's like to serve in the armed forces, okay? 6 years, okay? The sub I was on almost went down and never came back, okay? So praise the Lord I survived the Navy. Well, there's a lot of guys I served with didn't. They didn't make it through their 6-year enlistment. And I was in the Navy during the Vietnam era. There's a lot of guys in the Marines, Army, Special Forces, Air Force. They got shot down. They lost their lives. They didn't make it. Okay? So, hey, we paid. We paid dearly, and we sacrificed 6 years of our life to serve in the military so you could have the freedom, so you can walk down the aisle at church with your nose high in the air, with your self-righteous attitude, and then collect money from all the rest of the people in your church, okay? And, maybe I'm getting down on churches, but there are churches like that, okay? There are. Well, you know what? The church I go to fully accepts gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender. That is not we are not discriminated against. We're totally accepted. We can receive communion. And I'm not going to go into all the details. There's no time here. I'm almost up to 30 minutes here. But you know what? Jesus was full of grace and truth. Okay? A lot of you people run around, you got the truth, and you beat people over the head with it. Well, you know what? How about showing a little bit of grace? Why don't you read the Gospels and see what, there was a woman taken in adultery, there was people that were blind. No matter, and for a lot of reasons, everybody's a sinner, right? Well, Jesus went around healing people, didn't he? He didn't condemn them and say, hey, you're going to hell. He never said that to one person. Never said that to one person. He read the riot act to those Pharisees, those self-righteous SOBs that thought they were better than everybody else, right? And those are the only people he really verbally attacked, right? Because they were hypocritical, and they were preventing people from believing on Jesus. So all you religious people out there, you better start studying and get your ducks in a row, because you ain't any better than anybody else. As far as I'm concerned, you ain't any better than some harlot that's walking the streets of downtown Jacksonville tonight looking for a trick, okay? You're a sinner just like she is. And if she's doing that to support her family or her kids, and that's the only way she can earn money to take care of her family, yeah, you're going to condemn her, ain't you? Yeah, yeah. But you know what? Jesus would have some mercy and compassion, wouldn't he? So I think Christianity needs to change. I think Christianity needs to be more loving and gracious to the sinners in the community, okay? And I'm not saying transgender, gay, and lesbian is a sin either, okay? If we were made this way, then why is it a sin, okay? So we're just different, okay? And we tend to keep to ourselves, don't we? So I don't know why there's all this threatening hate. Oh no, a transgender male to female guy is going in the woman's room. Oh my God. Well, hey, I have a get out of jail card. I got to get out of the men's room card in my wallet, okay? You know, if I'm out drinking beer at a pub or sitting in a restaurant and I have to go to the restroom and I'm dressed up in a skirt and a blouse and everything and I got makeup on, you think I'm going to walk in the men's room? What, are you nuts? Hey, I'm going to go into the ladies' room and I'm going to go in the stall, close the door, close the latch, sit down, you know, empty my bladder or whatever else needs to get emptied. Then I'm going to, flush the toilet, blah, 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 get out, wash your hands, look in the mirror, maybe put some lipstick on and stuff. I'm not in there to, like, look at other women, okay? I mean, come on. You people are mental. You're not putting yourselves in the shoes of these transgender people, are you? You think I would go in the ladies' room if I was, like, dressed up as a man? I don't think so, okay? I mean, that's totally stupid. We're not perverts. So you people have these phobias, and they're illegitimate. They're wrong, okay? You think we're a bunch of pervs, but we're not, okay? So, you gotta like learn to like have a little grace in your life. I mean, I have not heard on the news that anybody that was transgendered has molested anybody in the women's room, okay? And I watch the news there, pretty much. I've never seen a headline like, oh, transgendered male to female sexually molested some woman and her daughter in the ladies' room. I mean, that's not going to happen. I mean, come on. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. Okay? So that's all I have to say. I can rant. It's 33 minutes. I've gone long enough on this, okay? So I shared enough about my life. Who am I? Who am I? Okay? I don't know. I'm somewhere in between. Okay? And you can make jokes and you can laugh about it, be hateful. Fine. I can take it. I've taken 60 years of this life and gone without and done what I was supposed to all my life. Well, hey, when do I get to pursue my happiness? Huh? Okay. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. So I love everybody. Fran-Sez is signing out. And I hope some of you people will grow up and show some love and grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? The mystery that's been hidden for generations is now revealed in his saints. Christ in us, the hope of glory. So you know what? Christianity is being like Christ. So start studying and being like him. The Gospels reveal who God really is. Okay? Stop relying on the man that's sitting up there in front of the church, pounding the pulpit, because you know what? A lot of times he isn't exhibiting Christ-like behavior, okay? Sometimes they are, sometimes they ain't. Let's, don't deify a man because we're all sinners, okay? Love you. Goodbye. Mua.